As Star Imperial Officer Glapter Trextus report on the Sol Assault. This is an after-action report regarding the battle against the alien species known as humanity during our conquest of the Sol sector. It primarily concerns the counter-invasion that forced our retreat from the planet, designated Sol 4, otherwise known by the local race as Mars. It is known amongst the military command that during our initial invasion we were able to quickly, like a bolt of lightning, seize control of multiple planets and satellite bodies of the Sol system during our initial assault, only being stopped when we approached the main homeworld Sol 3, otherwise designated Terra. While not too large by our standards, the divide between Sol 3 and Sol 4 was efficiently defended by humanity, such that any assault would require proper planning. During this planning, while observing humanity prepare, we were contacted by a human. This human intended to turn traitor to his race in return for favorable treatment and financial support for him and his comrades. While hesitant at first, the Intelligence Council decided to engage with this human to, as the saying goes, test the waters. During this initial communication, intelligence on humanity's activities began pouring in. While initially credulous, the details were of little value and proved accurate from independent sources. The source, who at his request shall be referred to by the alias Garbo, explained the extent of his spy network. He had sources in numerous space yards, government offices, and even amongst families that provided food for the high command of humanity. Being all but provided such an extensive spy network was considered a truly impressive windfall for the Intelligence Council. The agent was thus supplied with large financial rewards as an incentive to continue his operations. It is from here that Agent Garbo would begin to feed intelligence. Some were of low value but had veracity that could not be denied. Others were of significant value, but due to communication delays, the details arrived too late for the intelligence to be of significant use. While this is a disappointment, it only further reinforces this force's faith in the human spy. During the counter-invasion launched on 4/6/2971, all eyes were turned to the largest volcano on Sol 4, which local residents named Olympus Mons. As many forces of the human counter-invasion landers across the world, the local garrison focused their defenses on the solitary volcano due to the intelligence received from Agent Garbo. The intelligence was that the invasion points across the northern hemisphere of Sol 4 were diversionary in nature, and that the true focus of the landings would be on this location. During this build-up of defensive forces, Agent Garbo was awarded the Imperial Axiom, the highest honor a soldier within the Greater Empire could hope to receive, along with a noble title that would be bestowed when the war concluded. Sadly, it is suspected that Agent Garbo's spy network had likely become compromised because this intelligence proved faulty and disastrous to the defense. It is believed that the human agencies fed Garbo bad intelligence in the hopes it would affect our defense, which ultimately fell, forcing a retreat to the satellite designated Sol 5, Europa. This officer and member of the General Staff believe Agent Garbo should still receive the highest honors. His efforts prove that even amongst the least intelligent members of their race, humanity had some bastions of worthiness. Report excerpt from the UNIS, United Nations Intelligence Service. The following is a report on Agent 4531A, otherwise known as Mike Stanton. The man in question approached UNIS during the war's earliest days, offering to work as an intelligence agent. While his offer was appreciated, it was soundly rejected, as the man was reportedly a chronic alcoholic and a writer. The reliability of this led to questions about his sanity, and the drinking problem was also of worry. Despite this, during the first year of what would become known as the Silent War, when both sides marshaled their forces for a conflict, our UNIS agents detected chatter amongst the invaders. If they were to be believed, the reports were that there was a vast network of traitors amongst our ranks. As we examined the integrity of these reports, Mr. Stanton approached us once more, revealing he had been the source of this network, which had already been confirmed to be entirely fabricated. He revealed he had opened a line of communication with the enemy and offered to feed them lies. After an emergency meeting of the UNIS top brass, We decided to reject his offer once more to feed them lies. This would ultimately quickly discredit his ability and make the enemy disregard anything he provided. It was decided, instead, that he would provide accurate information, either of a completely useless nature, such as what the field marshal had for dinner that week, or valuable information that was provided too late to be of any use. Using this methodology allowed Mr. Stanton to coax the enemy into believing all his data was reliable. It is worth noting that Stanton spent most of his time in his apartment drinking heavily and creating stories about members of his spy ring. It was even more confusing when our counterparts amongst the enemy sent a well-wishes fruit basket to a member of the fictitious spy ring that had supposedly had a child. As our counter-invasion date approached, Agent Stanton's value increased dramatically. Using the trust placed in him that was so high, he was awarded their highest honor, the Imperial Axiom, an award that must be personally approved by their emperor to be given. We had him send information that, while our actual planned invasion was underway, it was in fact a falsehood, a diversion to draw forces away from where we had planned to invade. The plan was ultimately a success, and such was the trust placed in Stanton, the enemy even offered to extract him, fearing the faulty intel he provided was a sign we had uncovered him and his ring. Stanton, however, politely declined such an offer. It is the recommendation of this office that Mr. Stanton be given the Medal of Distinguished Service, a reward for his service to humanity, which would also make him the only one to receive the highest reward from both civilizations. Stanton's value cannot be understated, as the old adage goes. The only thing worse than no intel is bad intel. Ultimately, Stanton seemed amused by his own efforts, pointing to a historical figure who inspired him, such that he even used the codename given to the man, a man titled Garbo.